Hey. Back in front of the camera, back doing it with these two lovely human beings that we have here to keep it 100 once again.
Thank you, Coach Mario.
Yes, sir. I think flowers while you're here, man. I believe in it. You know, typically you get your flowers while you're gone, but we want to give somebody that was dear to Coach Jones. We want to give him a rest in paradise.
I appreciate
contribution to this video.
I came across a few people, man, that were, giants, man. They say you stand on the shoulders of giants. That's why you see me, because I'm standing. John Chaney died, big name, man, in college basketball. Took care of a lot of young brothers back in the players period. Took care of a lot of young brothers. And then I got a little shout out to a gentleman, man. I had to write it down because I don't know all the information, but you can look it up. Stephen P. Mickles. He was United States District Judge at the U.S. District Court for Northern Florida. All right, you probably like, well, who is this or whatever? He died in Gainesville. If it weren't for this guy right here, I might not have been able to go to the University of Florida and graduate. He was the first black student to graduate from the University of Florida in 1965, man. A big feat. Without somebody like that paving the way, I probably wouldn't even been able to attend the university, let alone graduate. So he died a couple of days ago, and he was the first black student. He was the second student to graduate from the School of Law in '66. So a year later, he graduated from law school.
Wow.
So very interesting, man, being a Florida grad and stuff and getting that information. A friend of mine hit me up and told me, hey man, check this out, and I was like, wow. Like I said, for a guy like that, I probably wouldn't even been able to attend the university, let alone graduate. So we lost those people, lost John Chaney, a little while back lost John Thompson, huge influencers in our lives and in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry to see them gone, but we don't last forever, man. We don't last forever.
And this decaying body that we all have, I think it brings perspective every time we see, somebody dear to us and near to us, or somebody that has had some effect on this earth. While we're here, that puts things in perspective.
Yes, sir.
So we all are decaying.
Yeah.
So this physical form is temporary. So you want to make the best of it. So rest in paradise to those two great men and the things that they've done to help young men like us sit on this panel to do what we do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And with that being said, this particular episode, I think it's a very popular subject. And I know a lot of times when you touch on things like this, it brings an array of things and tools and intangibles that affect youth sports. So we're going to get into the youth sports in today's topic, episode 7. We're going to touch on helicopter parents and the effects of that piece, and we're also going to touch on the science and the physicality and the things that are happening, the social media platform that's affecting the psychology of today's athletes that starts in the youth. There are some benefits to the technology, and I want to kind of creatively get you guys' perspective on when you look at the power and the shift that young athletes have. Like you have an athlete right now who is considered an amateur in youth. He's a sophomore in high school and he has like 1.5 million followers.
Who is that?
Mikey something. And I've seen the young man, seen highlights. The kid is on his way. But it's the power that he have. I mean, he's entertaining rappers and just the leverage that's been created in regards to it. The unfortunate part about it is the pressure that comes with that. The unfortunate part about it is when you're surrounded by, and I don't know his story. I mean, I don't know who he's surrounded by or whatever, but a lot of times when you see some mental weakness or you see some disdain attitude or whatever the case may be, it's because of the leverage you think you have, but then this thing called life will give you what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So youth sports has been affected, coaches has been affected in regards to catering to and handing things to them. So we want to give y'all our perspective on that and the things that contribute to the good, the bad, and the ugly of youth sports.
Yes, sir. You got all them sides.
So,
Definitely, those are the sides too, the good, the bad, and the
the
ugly.
good, the bad, and the
But
ugly.
people like to choose what they want to look at and say, this is good. Oh man, it's got 3 full sides to it, and we're gonna try to cover that.
Let me start with the positive, one positive, starting with one of the positives of it. Let's I think we can all agree, and tell me if you agree or disagree, on the panel, is let's look at the outlet that's been created in so many different ways for a kid to have an opportunity to compete at such a young age. Like, we couldn't do things at 4 years old and 5 years old, where
I'm sure T-ball was 4
you know what I'm
or 5.
saying? But not at the level it is now. Not at the level it is now. Like, you couldn't, like, my son played football at 4.
I think it's too
4 years old.
I think it's too much.
No, I agree, but I'm saying, but it's too much because of the bad teaching.
Right.
It's too much because of some of the bad coaching.
Well, because
It's not too much because of when you look at it, I think let's take a kid from a bad neighborhood who has his outlet. Because if he's not doing this, then what else is he doing?
But see, what's missing is one of the episodes we talked about. What you say, HCP?
R.D. Yes, sir?
Do they even have that anymore?
No.
See, so
No.
that was the outlet. Hillsborough County Parks and Recreation Department, and then you go and you compete, and they had track meets and football and basketball, and then it wasn't about the social media, it was about that outlet,
Right.
and that was the release right there, and that took care of that. Now it's a show. Everybody got their own personal show.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody shouldn't have a show, because everybody can't handle it.
Everybody's not worthy of a show.
No,
You're
can't handle a show.
exactly, but they are creatively creating it.
Oh, it's there, and it does a lot of good things. But everybody can't handle it.
I think it's watering down
Yes.
human beings,
Yes,
and especially starting with kids. So
absolutely.
let's educate the listeners. For example, the most powerful part of your brain is your subconscious mind. It's controlled by pictures, repetition, and trauma. That's how your subconscious mind is controlled. What does that? Social media, pictures. You're scrolling. You're looking at this, that, and other. So when your subconscious mind, the most powerful part of your brain, is being controlled, what does it do when you have to say, if coach, you drop a play in a timeout, you got 30 seconds. The level of attention from these guys may not be at the apex level because of, they probably was on social media for 17 hours this week. Because they're not learning. Right, but the kinesthetic learning piece is now being removed. So that part of it, and then now, hold on, why are you making an attempt to accept likes from everybody when you don't even like everybody?
Yeah.
So now here it is, a kid who's supposed to be confident, supposed to be doing the best they can, supposed to be all these different things, but yet and still, you have this platform that's been created.
Explain something to the old head, right? So do the likes get you money or something?
Some people. Now, if Instagram shut down tomorrow, because the one thing I personally, I'm not gonna say I despise it, I don't use the word like hate,
Yes.
but when I hear somebody say, she's an Instagram model, I'm like,
Why do you hate that?
but she's not fine enough to be on Victoria's Secret? She's not fine enough to be in Italy modeling for an agency? But she's an Instagram model.
Yeah.
But what is Instagram has done?
That's what it's done.
So if Instagram shut down, then she don't collect money no more?
So when people out here hunting for likes and this, right, that can get you paid.
Yes, it can, but you can't get monetization from that piece of it. Now, I don't know if Instagram paid you because, again, I'm a then guy. I don't know much about that piece of it. I try to, keep some understanding of it in the midst of it, but I think a few people can educate us on that piece. But now the kids have to deal with the social media platform, and I don't think kids get a lot more. I don't think they get enough credit by how mentally tough they can be because there's so many moving pieces right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a different kind of.
Yes, it really is. It really is. When you talk about your social media, you may have a parent that just want to be hands-on, and let's sit down for a second in the seat and touch on what our experience of helicopter parents. and what it's done in coaching and youth sports?
Well,
I don't even want to touch it.
I'll touch it.
I don't even want to touch it.
I'll touch it. Being a coach, having a program over the last 10 years, and welcoming parents that are helicopters. I don't know if you're driving if you're flying an Apache helicopter or you flying a Channel 8 helicopter. It don't matter.
Whatever, Blue Thunder.
The blue, yeah, right.
Airwolf.
The Airwolf, right. It don't matter. But what I've learned is it's a tough conversation to be had because most parents don't understand. Okay, if I'm a hover over my kid, where they supposed to have an individual outlet to do something that they say they want to do, and now I'm gonna have to hear you at home demean me or not demean me, because in most cases, if you're a helicopter, they're sitting there seeking for a certain level of approval.
yeah.
And it does nothing for the relationship with the coach. It does nothing for the relationship with the kid to get to a certain point, and that becomes a major issue. So now, when I said I welcome it, if you are a helicopter parent and you want to come watch everything that your kid is doing, he's training you doing this, he's coaching you doing this, and then you intermingle in regards to somebody that's specialized and trained to do a certain thing. Now this is why I say I welcome it. But then when you don't love the results of what's happening based on our eye tests as professionals and coaches and all that, then what happens? You're not playing my kid, you're not doing this, that, and other.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? How are you gonna have high expectations for playing your kid when you don't even use positive reinforcement as a parent?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I say personally, I welcome it because I'll ask those questions to a parent like, okay, I heard nothing positive come out your mouth, Mom, Dad.
Yeah. I ain't gonna say I welcome it, but I understand where, because of the times and where it fits,
Right.
and I get it. You know what I mean? And I'm always quick to say, you're welcome to come watch.
Now, are parents helicopters because they don't trust?
That's part of it. That's the main part of it.
Or I think it's kind of like now everybody thinks their opinion or voice should be heard.
Well, that's what social media has done.
See, and I don't know if that's because of social media.
Now, what if I told y'all I had a good experience with a helicopter parent?
I believe it. It's
Oh
possible.
yeah, helicopter.
Not many,
No.
but I had a good
It's
one.
not
It's
1,000% negative all the time.
No.
So I remember my son played Little League Baseball, and I made the mistake of after we lost the game 5-4, I said something to the effect of, we gotta relax. Ain't nobody going to the league out here. Wrong thing to say.
Oh,
At an 8-year-old baseball game. Wrong thing to say.
listen, man.
The parents were up in arms because I said that.
What your delivery was terrible. and what could have been said was this. Hold on, listen. What could have? Because I said something
But
similar.
it was true.
No, it was true. But hold on. No. But listen. The delivery was terrible because I remember saying something in a 7th grade tournament. I said, and I don't know if I used I used a university. I said, I'm sorry, I just don't remember what university came into a 7th grade tournament and started watching these kids.
Right. Same thing.
No.
It's the same thing.
Because
That's even more condescending than what
No.
you said.
It might be, but the delivery is totally different. The delivery is totally different. You literally said,
I said,
you ain't not.
No.
Yeah. Listen, if you say, ain't nobody going to the pros? You kidding me? As a kid, if I would have heard as an 8-year-old kid, I'm thinking I'm going to the league at 8, coach.
Oh, no question.
And
That wasn't to the kids.
I know.
That was to the parents.
That's what I was about to say. And the parents definitely believed it.
Yeah, they did.
Right.
Almost literally almost got ran off the board.
Right.
Let me just sit up here and not
Oh
see.
you.
Everybody don't have the same eye that I had.
You messed that up.
Well, yeah. And
You messed that up.
so you know what I did after that? I checked the list to see when it was our turn to bring snacks and orange snacks. That's all I did.
Well, listen. Broken is better than new.
The last time I ran to a helicopter parent, needless to say, it was JUCO, and
I can't believe that though, coach.
I can't believe
Yes,
that parents
yes, sir.
I can't believe parents even would even think about contacting the coach at the college level.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Until he told me.
It ain't supposed
Well, you know
to
what,
be.
coach? Let me take that back.
It ain't supposed
Let me
to
take
be.
that back. My grandmother didn't see me hit one home run. She came to watch me play maybe 3 times in my life, and she was saying, whatever he doing, that's what it is. Now, maybe I'm a little scarred from that, But now, and I've, coaching, I've talked to thousands of parents. But again, I don't mind having the uncomfortable conversation because if you think I'm being unfair, like I'm literally going to sit on the sideline as a coach, run up and down here, making $1.15 an hour, and your kid I'm going to pick on and not play, but he's one of our better players. Make that make sense to me.
I say the same thing. I say, the coach's job is to win a game. The coach, not the job, the coach wants to win.
Right.
So why wouldn't he play the better players? He's going to play the better players unless the better player got a discipline problem, which you got to get in check. Or he's going to play the better players unless the better player ain't the better player.
I gotta tell this story.
Oh man.
I gotta tell the story because now we're starting to flood back, and then Coach Jones is gonna probably start laughing uncontrollably. We all have a homeboy, Andrew Frazier, the greatest players to come out of Hillsborough County.
I remember this.
Scored almost 2,000 points, went to Vanderbilt, ended up transferring back to USL.
Yes, sir.
So we was on the same AAU team at the old Tampa Prep, which is across from the new one now.
So is this like a blood raw in your face type story? I'm just guessing.
Hold on. If you're dealing with me, yeah.
It's one of the best ever.
If you're dealing with me, yeah.
So we went to, I always say this, but nobody remembers the clothing apparel. It's called ITZ. It was around for a little while. It was like In the Zone. It was kind of like N1, it had the trash talking t-shirts.
Yes, sir.
Call me the bus driver, I'm taking everybody to school, like that type of stuff. ITZ In the Zone.
What was the one about your basketball? What was the one about your girlfriend? Every day in one shirt? I forget exactly what it was. I had that one though. I forget what it was though, but go ahead.
They were in the same thing.
Yes, sir.
ITZ, they was around for a hot second. So Drake go over to Orlando, he's destroying me. They got 46.
Get money.
He called me one day talking about, yeah, I'm about to sign with Vandy. I'm like, Vandy who? Vanderbilt? Like, what?
Back then, when I was decent.
Listen to this here though.
That's the Ivy League of the SEC, by the way.
Hold on though. Listen to this here.
I'm like, what are you talking about? So he called me out. Cool, and Brady called coming over here today. I'm plotting how you was plotting on my cousin Keith now.
Kill this.
Oh, I can't wait to see him at Monday. Vanderbilt.
For to destroy him.
I'm bigger than a little.
With that little back down game.
Yeah.
Power guard game.
I'm telling Jones, Vandy need to come in here today and see some of this. Talking about he going to Vanderbilt, they need to offer me.
Yeah, so you're a pretty cocky kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And Drake get into it. We got that talking Drake like, man, you slow ass. So, I think it's an Amscott now on the turn right on Kennedy. It's a place called ABC Pizza.
Hey, get to the meat and potatoes.
Oh yeah, I'm getting there. Jones tell me, hey, after we done, me and my baby go grab some meat real quick. I'm like, well, if we grab a couple beers or something.
Oh, one-on-one?
That's why I used to put him to the side. I ain't
Let me holler at you, young king. Let me holler at you. Let me holler at you.
So what you got going on? I was like, man, Drake going to Van. I'ma just walk over there, fam. Like,
What's happening?
I'm going to fam. Like, you just seen. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? Let me go
I'm
on.
going to fam.
I'm gonna say that after you finish.
Jones got his little beer, eating a pizza.
What kind of beer? Ultra? Milk alone ultra?
He said it in between bites. Boy, you slow ass ain't fake playing no fam.
Your coach.
My coach.
Your coach told you that.
So, boy, you can't play no fam. Who you gonna guard with them slow feet? Who are you gonna stay in front of? I'm like, man, Jones up there hating, dog.
Well, look.
Wait, back to that part of the story. He said, if you go up there to Tallahassee, you gonna waste your time and your grandma money. Talking about you going to play a family, you can't go at nobody. He reiterated that nobody.
That's the other side of the floor, bro.
You can't go at nobody.
Well,
he told you I'm gonna waste my time and my grandma money if I go up there. I walk home. Jones hating, dog.
That's how you know he's bad. He hating dog.
Jones hating, dog.
He'll mention dog a million times.
I can play at fam. See your season go on. Jones was like, yeah, what you got? I was like, man, Florida College want me to come out there and watch a game. I go out there, I told the story before they got a dude named Carson Bryant leaving the stadium scoring. Boy, I was handling my ticket at the door. I was like, oh no, this ain't the spot for me. I was talking about he killing. But, to make a long story short, I don't think you could say that to a kid now without like,
what?
A parent being like,
no, sir.
You told my son he can't play at fan, but he got slow ass feet. I think that's kind of the difference between.
I'm gonna agree with an addendum. Because again, and any kid that I've encountered, and just being in the sports performance world, being in the training world, being in the coaching world, like being gifted to say, okay, you can tell a kid has a gift to be a pro, or gift to do this, or gift to do that. Like, I can tell a kid, no, you're not that good, or you're going to play college basketball. I think we can. I mean, somebody so eloquently told me one day, and I think I'm gonna get this right when I say it. You have to round the edges. Like, I had to learn how to do that. So yeah, you can't tell a kid you suck, you this, you that, you this, that, another, because of the sensitivity of it.
When was that?
1993, 94.
Okay, because I heard that from my coach. Like, I heard something, right, it was a different time. Like, I heard, Mario, you never played Division I basketball. You're terrible, you this, you that. But it was, he didn't know it was motivating me. Like, that's just only delivery.
See, that's what you can't measure.
No, you can't, you're not even measure that. But I think you had all the right to believe that.
Think he was hating?
No. Definitely wasn't hating. You had all the right to believe that because of you going to get some every single day. You may get off 1 or 2.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, man.
They gonna show the other 18 blue.
18, right. So,
I ain't thinking about the blow bys.
yeah, so, but that, I think that piece of it in youth sports, and we talking about youth is, you can go as young as 8, but let's now touch on the adolescent years of the youth. And adolescents are between 12 to 17, because kids should have a tougher skin. I was fortunate enough to go to a seminar about 3 years ago, and I had maybe a 5-minute conversation with the doctor of the Braves, and he sent me a packet of information. He was talking about when athletes turn the corner and when they actually should start competing in a particular sport that they're interested in, and the age that they should go about it. And I reference the term as 1 click to the right. So between 12 and 13 is about that time of maturity to be able to get to that point. The problem is so many coaches with that, and then so many coaches, you deal with it at the highest level, the Division I JUCO level, where you'll have a kid with a talent, but then you have to iron out so many bad habits. You know what I mean? Which allows you to, but that happens in their youth.
Can I tell you this, man? Especially JUCO level, I spend more time trying to erase the bad habits than I can build the good ones, because it's 2 years.
Yeah, but here's the thing though. This is where I think coaches' clinics are going, or should go, is, you know what? You're gonna learn from the bad habits and the mistakes you make. Let me just iron out your good habits. Because it's almost like, if I have an offensive system in place, then we have to be very good at those few things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If you cross over too high, your ball gets stolen, that guy dunk on your head, you're gonna keep crossing over high? That'll no longer need to be our concern as coaches. You know what I'm saying?
See, I'm gonna go a little step further, because I'm let's just get in the gym. I know what I'm doing.
Right.
Let's just get in the gym, iron out some of them things, go to pickup, and we work on those things, and then we go to games and all of that. You know what I mean?
Let me give you a relatable story to that. I remember I had a few very fortunate coaches that was pros, and like my coach at UCF is now at Iowa. He was at Iowa before. He coached at Florida. Then he coached at UCF for 17 years. So more sets and stuff in place. Then I played for a guy in Don Burgess, Craig Brown, went to the Final Four, played professionally overseas. And then, but I remember just having, because I would always have basketball conversations with these guys, just trying to pick their brain. Coach Fernandez, who was at Miami, and I remember every summer I would come home, and he was like, and based off those conversations we would have, I remember just going to play pickup, and I said, for this week, this only week, I'm only going to drive left.
See,
I remember for the next week, I'm gonna shoot pull-up jump shots.
Yeah, that was
like I remember, and I thought I was weird with that, doing that. But nowadays, when I see it, guys, and again, I taught skill work like a lot. Part of skill work being so prominent right now, it kind of goes back to the subconscious mind. Remember the conversation we had about how do guys go in the gym, work on a step back between the legs, push pivot, get downhill or finish, when all we did was play. We never did none of that.
We was on the job training.
But part of it is because of how you learn. You knew what move you can get by, whether it's a push, pivot, hesitation, get to the rim, or bullet ball, back and down, turn around, how much space you needed by playing. So now, with the guys doing the skill work, some being gifted, taller, bigger, stronger, faster, relatable to a previous conversation we had, it's now becomes one of those things now when you're like, okay, hold on. This is why this has transitioned to this. And it's just the next level of teaching and doing it. Guys want to work on this stuff because it's cute. You know what I mean? But it starts in the youth. I'll question both of you guys and tell me if you believe this. Just another study that I did probably 5 years ago. The shell of a player's game, you will be able to see it from the age of 16 to 19. The only improvement you'll see from 19 to 30 is efficiency. But who they are, their game, whether they're powerful, they're athletic, they can transition, they can get to a point right in today's game. Like when you see Anthony Davis at Kentucky versus Anthony Davis now, what does he do different? His efficiency of what he's doing.
I agree wholeheartedly except one aspect. It depends who teaches you.
But most of the teaching is universal at this point, Coach.
I was gonna go there. It depends on who teaches you. And if you can find that one person to go out the box just a little bit,
Yeah.
they can change your whole game. Now, you don't see a lot of change.
Like I've seen a kid in the 5th grade with the skill set he had as a freshman in college. Same skill set. Now I have to get a little bit bigger, stronger.
Right.
I'm gonna say that because
But I've also seen kids that I've personally like been a part of their development, like develop certain things, but it all depends on when you start too though.
it does.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna say this. I've taken a kid, and it ain't cause I'm such a good coach. I've taken a kid and in 30 minutes changed the whole game by adding a pull-up jumper. I had a player from Brazil, female. Quick, can handle it, IQ, couldn't shoot a lick.
How she shot the ball, John?
2 hands.
He taught her how to shoot in 30 minutes.
Taught her how to shoot 30 minutes. But that was as much her will to learn and how well she listened to anything. So she went from just setting people up and not taking open shot to everything was a jab, drive, pull up.
Right.
Matter of fact, she won a game for me, going length of the court, pulling up right at the same spots we practiced.
Right.
Poof. And Dak was there one night and watched her go for 30 at Hillsborough just on a pull-up.
It's amazing to be, and the reason I mention that because I look at a guy like I said, being a part of training, and then now seeing a guy that have the shell. Like, okay, if you decide to not dribble as a sophomore because you didn't start playing until freshman, you can become a better ball handler in 2 years, and like that's different.
Yes.
But I'm talking about guys that have that talent or that skill to do certain things. They become a little bit better. We've seen the development of a Giannis. We've seen the development of LeBron. But
Right.
like LeBron at 18, LeBron's skill set is the same thing that it is now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
And I ain't saying you wrong. I agree.
no. I'm not. Yeah, it ain't. But
Efficiency the only thing.
right. It ain't about being wrong or right. But you may add a couple moves here and there. But,
Right.
but in regards to
It's
like,
basically that person.
but the teaching piece becomes relevant in regards to this whole thing that we call in youth sports.
So I have a saying that I always use, and this is germane to my experience, SAT vocabulary.
Yeah, there you go.
Very rarely, in my experience, has the best player at 8 been the best player at 18.
Very.
So,
Well, they got rankings. They got 2022,
Don't get me started.
2025 best player in the country right now.
Don't get me
Oh
started.
my God.
so he trying to get Jones upset.
Yeah.
So,
Coach, I'll never forget the first time I seen it. I might mention it at the end of the show. Like, I'm like, you're ranking somebody 5 years from now?
right.
Are you serious? But
That's my whole thing with you gotta relax it. Like a kid that's 8, he's probably not gonna be the best player at 18.
what's the kid that played for the Toronto Raptors? That won MVP in the finals or was close to it. Siakam.
Sure, he wasn't the best 8-year-old.
And all went close.
He probably wasn't the best 17-year-old.
Right.
Playing basketball, they probably playing soccer.
Probably playing soccer.
Soccer.
Right. So when I see people at Little League football games and kid 11 and they be like, oh, he going D1. I'm like, D1?
But see, again, it's delivery. It's D. It's the double.
No.
No, you're right. But I'm saying like
I don't say this anymore since the Louis incident.
Oh no! I know you.
I think to myself, I'll be like, D1.
But listen, at 8.
So there's a guy who grew up with us. He played center for the Spartans. His name is Corey Durant. He played center. Every year he was at the boys' club to the point where he wore 57 every single year. You know, Corey ended up leading the county in rushing at Hillsborough. He was a running back.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes.
Corey played center at the boys' club. So obviously he wasn't the best 8-year-old.
Right.
But he led the county in rushing. So all this, and I love the camaraderie. You know, you come out, you got your son picture on the shirt.
Yeah.
They using They're using Jones' favorite term in the gym. Let's go to work. Time to go to work.
Yeah, but
Look at his face.
coach used depends on who coaching and teaching.
Right,
sir.
I'm a fortunate human being right now to see what I see. Volleyball, baseball, basketball. I mean, and I'll tell anybody that I've had an encounter with is I have the attitude that I have because I've seen outlandish goals happen. Right. I've seen a kid who wasn't being recruited.
But you making it happen right here at Legacy Athletics where you taking them to the next level through the training, you know what I'm saying, the teaching, the mental aspect of it. You bringing all of that.
And that's part of it, Coach. But the thing is like when we look at it, it actually hurts me to see you minimize a kid's exuberance. Like their mental exuberance is what they have. Okay, like I've seen a kid come in with the frame, and like we can look at somebody with the frame and say, okay, you just stay here. I promise you, just stay here. Like stay right here on this course, and it'll work out for you. I've had a 5'1" guard who didn't make the national team. You know, shout out to Daisha Lee Solomon, who made the national team. Now she has X amount of thousands of followers, but it was literally, I took her in the gym. We had to sit down about her confidence. She was already a pro and didn't have the confidence. You know what I mean? But using that piece of it to acknowledge, okay, and that stems from certain things that happen in you. Now you have this teaching, now you have this coaching, and it gets to a certain point where it's like, man.
I tell you what, and I agree with you 100%. It's your words and what you said. Regardless of what I'm telling somebody, I always use the phrase, I can't put a cap or a ceiling on where you can go.
Right.
But what I can tell you is what you're doing right now is not going to keep you growing.
Right.
And that's how I use that phrase all the time because you don't know. You don't know their will. You don't know the determination.
CP3 is one of the only basketball players that played JV for 2 years.
Yeah, you don't know.
You know, that's in the league.
And like you said, how many times you took stuff as a challenge?
Oh, every time though.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Everything for me was that way.
So you can't judge that, but what you can tell them is where you at right now. We gotta go on to the next step. How many times I mentioned and we talk about one of my players at the school, we call him Clay, and I tell him all the time, as a 6'4" point, that's a big point, good body. You gotta get a pull up to your game.
Right.
You get a pull up to your game. Welcome to the next. Good night.
But you know what? But again, you know what? But again, you telling him that, and we know what comes off a pull up. Point guards right now have to be able to play off the ball screen.
Yes,
they have to be dynamic off the ball screen.
Yes, sir.
Every coach in the country know that.
Yep.
But guess what? It's not being relatable to the kids. How a kid don't know that? Why in the heck are you not working on your pull up?
Yeah.
Why the heck you not working on your probe to get down here?
Because ESPN showing dunks and threes.
So it's something that you just said about working on your game. I'll tell another Coach Jones story. Me and Drake may or may not have had some alcoholic players just waiting on us. You know what I'm saying?
In your youth?
Yes.
Adolescent, 17, 16?
17.
Okay. Libations.
Oh, the libation was on there.
But you're on the H2O right now. Hydrogen 20.
Yes. We walking out the gym. I told Drake, oh yeah, he can't come in here and say nothing today. And I got our shots up, ran a little bit, we out. Jones come in, where y'all going? Oh no, Jones, we done. We done did our shots. You know what I'm saying? We on the way out. We gotta go. I'm saying, we ain't trying to be in the gym with you today. He like, so just show me what y'all did. I'm like, we got some shots up. He grabbed the ball and just started throwing it against the backboard and count 1, 2. Those are shots. You like, anybody come here and get shots up, how many makes y'all got?
How many make? Cause we are trying to make them.
Drake was like, man, you know we gotta go back in there. We gonna have to hit his mouth. I was like, nah, man, we finna go, bro. Like,
Yeah.
he was like, well, if y'all hoopers, y'all say y'all want to,
Right.
y'all come back here and get some makes.
That's what you told me.
And another thing he told me, the average person don't even know how to go to the gym and work on their game.
Mm-hmm.
What does a kid go do right now? A great shooter, if you tell him, I can go to the gym, you got 2 hours, what are you gonna do?
They have to be taught.
He will go in there and work on shooting.
They have to be
He ain't gonna
taught.
go in there and work on his deficiencies.
Ain't no micing, ain't no form shooting, ain't no extension, ain't no 1 dribble pull up, 2 dribble pull up.
It's all about the teaching.
Yeah, it comes back to that.
Yes.
And you learn that in your youth. So if I'm learning, if I got bad or good teaching, but remember, if I'm an excellent teacher and somebody want to anoint me as being an excellent teacher, right? And I have a kid that's 8 years old, but I only got him coached 3 days a week. But then you go home to mom and dad, they bad teachers. It's destroying the kids.
It's destroyed.
So what you learned in the lesson, Debonair, as when you said, oh, that kid going D1. You learned that your delivery should have been, the kid has potential to go D1. It's just simple in the delivery, because we can see kids that are talented, and I've been saying this for years. The ones that are talented early is the ones we have to be concerned about.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the ones that not. So for me, like I said, we've seen outlandish goals. Like I have seen it happen. So when I'm like, I have a kid who just started playing, or doing this, doing that, or whatever. When the processor slows down in the game and you keep working, you're gonna be tough, because the pedigree is still there. A lot of times it's hard to believe that, because it ain't fun when you're bad.
It ain't fun.
Fun when you're
So now I gotta cater to like you have a bad coach on the volleyball level, all right? What's the first thing they do with somebody tall in volleyball? They put them in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, this girl athletic enough to be an outside, because she probably ain't gonna grow to be no more than 5'7", but you got her in the middle right now. So I've had the transition of a 5'7" middle to the outside, which is considered to be a wing on a basketball court.
Right.
And now they hitting the ball, but that's a harder transition. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we learning that basketball, big guy, they put you in the paint. You know what I mean? But you're not evaluating you're evaluating their height, you're evaluating their foot, their balance, you didn't evaluate none of that. And then when it comes down to it, the mental capacity to be able to hold certain things, it's one universal language. It's one universal language. And now all 10 of these kids have to adapt, all 12 of them have to be able to adapt to these universal language. You don't know what they're encountering.
You know, and that's all that stuff you said, man. I'm not making culture rocket science, but I know this: parents not account for none of that.
Mm-hmm.
They're not account for. I hear the parent like one time. It was like a few good men lying up in there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I was like,
But hey, that courtroom scene of a few good men.
it's cold, boy. That's all time right there. But it was a courtroom scene, because she was like, I was like, the kids, this, that. Well, this and that, and you ain't playing or whatever. I said, yeah, but she give up much as she scored. You know what I mean? And well, she didn't know, so I got the kid in. The kid hit the boom, bam, bam. Man, they messed around and realized how weak was on the other end. Bam, 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 just ate it up. And I said, I told you. I said, I'd rather you just say thank you for the free education than to question the way in which I put them in the game and use them. You know
It's eerie, man. It's eerie to be born, bred, and fed from here, and we see. I think last I checked, it's 38 travel. There's probably 38 travel teams in the city.
I watched
right?
that blow up.
So
Oh yeah, he was.
when you see 38 travel teams in the city, but when I was playing, you had Spirit of Tampa Bay, you had Team Tampa, and Brandon Hawks. Right, it was 3 teams, which meaning if you
Now Tampa is a much bigger city
it is, it's 6,000 people a week that move
than
there.
it was.
No doubt.
Back when we talking about.
But it still doesn't warrant, but every city is grown. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
population is grown, but when you still got some cities that are still acknowledging that it's 2 or 3 teams per city to keep the crop and the competitive level what it is now. I don't want to get into the economics of it, it's a money bag or this, that, another, or whatever. If you create it in this little pocketed window, you got a jurisdiction, then you can have a team, and parents want to put on good uniform, and they want their kid to play, not develop. You know what I'm saying? So, but to see the difference in the way that the landscape has changed, you know, over so many years, in football, and volleyball, and baseball, and basketball, the travel component, I do think it's destroying a lot of the kids in our game. You know what I mean? Because of the bad habits that are being learned. Why are you playing more than you're practicing?
Yes.
You know, me having a program is something I wanted to creatively try to implement and say, okay, we're going to get in the gym and practice more than we play. Like we'll lose money on gym time as opposed to tournament time. But then you got to cater to the parents because it's like they don't really understand, you know, that piece of it.
When I started a team with my daughter and them, and I told everybody, I said, we practice 4 days out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
We might play some tournaments on the weekend, we practice.
Yes,
But
sir.
at that time, I was at HCC, so I had my 10-year-old girl, and we was at Tampa Phoenix. And we had 7 girls. And we would run suicide. Y'all know how big HCC is.
Yes, sir.
And we run that court, one summer we won 50 plus games. We won a couple of Disney tournaments at Wide World of Sport. We were good.
Yeah.
We were good. You know, but it's like,
That's a real AAU team.
Right.
He's checking report card.
Right.
yes.
They got practice 4 days.
Right.
Yeah, but
Right.
see now it's turned into how many games can we get in?
That's how it's sold now. You
That's
walk
how
up to
it's
a parent, oh, we play this many tournaments.
And you know what I was told one time? Well, they get so much exposure. I said, well, you know, if you look at that word, you can get exposure or you can get exposed.
Right.
Yeah, it's only exposure, you know, to it on
That's real.
a certain amount of time. I like it so eloquently the way you just said that, Coach.
But I have a problem like that. I don't think anybody should be at Disney losing by 70 points.
Mm-mm.
It
By
has,
60 points.
but
Like y'all should have just been playing rec league. Maybe that's antiquated and outdated.
Working on your game in the red league,
But you should
not
be able to
destroying
do
your
it.
contract.
but it's a two-way street.
It is.
You have to learn
It is.
what you're competing against too, though. The biggest thing about it is if we're taking a team from Tampa and we're playing a team from, I remember us playing a Nike sponsored team from Indiana.
Right.
We lost by 50.
Right.
But it's like you thought you were good. This is what good looks like. So it's a two-way
It
street.
is.
It's a two-way street. I wanna segue. I'm gonna start it off today with I'll never forget. And in 2010, I'll never forget sitting at home, and I had just left a summer league game. Mike McManamy run the Seaver League. We had the Hillsborough County league going on. And I'll never forget, I remember Mike had Seaver at the time, and me and him had a conversation, and I was sitting at home one day and I said, you know what, I'm gonna start a travel program. But before I started the travel program, this is what I'm gonna do. And I just went around to some of the better ones that was in the city and learned from some of the stuff that they wasn't doing. I sent a kid to play for Siebel, which was my mentor son. I had a kid over at another program playing, and I said, what am I gonna do different in youth sports? And one of the greatest things that came from it is you take so many different demographics to put together. And I wanted to be able to provide high-level coaching and teaching, which I was very fortunate to be training some high-level guys, pros, and people that wanted to be able to help, guys that played for me, guys that got to a certain point, guys, basketball guys, as opposed to just a novice dad that don't know much of nothing.
Right.
I knew I can provide that. High-level skill training, I wanted to be able to do that because that was where the game was going. And then the academia piece of it. It was very easy to come up with the name, which was LA4 Basketball. I reached out to some folks in regards to creating a nonprofit. And I just wanted to be able to just make a transition and a segue into youth sports from the side of, basketball. I knew the disciplines and the things you wanted to be able to teach through basketball, the team sports, and all of it. And now in year 10, just being able to, send a few kids to college to play, at the next level. We've also, now begin to implement, financial literacy and different things kids need to be able to learn because it ain't just about basketball. And believe me, I'm on the Kobe Bryant boat when it comes to this. I think the travel basketball side has killed the game of basketball. But with the right teaching and coaching, it can help. And as opposed to the right teaching and coaching. Yeah, no, it ain't sexy no more. It's really not. So that's over with. But I'll never forget creating LA4 Basketball, catering to the youth, and just trying to get my feet wet here in the city of Tampa and helping more kids.
Let me go with you on that. I never forget creating a nonprofit, Tampa Phoenix. And I started, and we had my daughter Kai Jones, Brittany Betts, Chantrell Frazier, Shayla Upshaw, Michael Crow, who played with my daughter at TC, that's 5. And then we had different young ladies along the way. It was several of them, but we only had like a team of 6 or 7, putting them together. And I remember thinking, because my daughter had played for another AAU team when she started, but she didn't play a lot, which I was all right with that, because I told my daughter, you gotta make the coach play by producing. And so, but she wasn't learning. So I was like, you can't not play and you ain't learning nothing.
Right.
That can't happen. No. So I started at Phoenix, and my goal at the time was to teach the young ladies the game the right way, to teach them some self-discipline. Meanwhile, we checking on report cards, we doing all the things. And I never forget the times with them at HEC, training them, teaching them, and it was probably some of the best times I had with basketball, other than for myself.
Yes, sir.
And so to watch Brittany Betts get a scholarship to Rollins and play ball. Now, she wasn't a star at Rollins, but hey, the job was done.
Oh, no, yes.
My daughter got a scholarship to UT. And then she later ended up leaving there and coming playing for me in JUCO, and then graduated from South Florida. Chantrell Frazier went on D2. Shayla Upshaw won at Clayton State. You know what I'm saying? They also helped their team at Jefferson go to state for the first time.
Yes,
so to watch them young ladies, man, grow, become the women that they were, that they are, get these scholarships, graduate from college, all of them. Michael Crow ended up playing over at South Florida a little bit.
Sir.
To watch them grow, I never forget the times we had and how my little step into youth sports, and I was wondering, I was like, man, I see how this is going with youth sports. Is it going to work with me saying we practice 4 days a week? I need to see report cards, and it did work. It did work. And that was some of the proudest times of my life in basketball. I'm still coaching now with young men, but I never forget that time. With
we definitely need more, more guys, and I think there's a lot more guys that we don't know that are doing great things around the country with programs.
Even here in Tampa,
locally with youth sports. We just don't know the ins and outs. I think it needs to be a lot more unity in regards to just being creative and just helping more, because it should be a high success rate on getting to that point, man. And hearing that story, coaches, it speaks volumes, man, because it's to have more like you that are doing it, being so grateful for the number of kids that's been in my program, just being able to love a kid that I didn't create and to try to help them get to that point is big, and I did it for those reasons. I did it to just help, you know what I mean, and to want to be able to do more, to have that outlet and try to do it the right way, you know what I mean. And I say do it the right way because I'm gonna welcome mistakes and do the things and put them, just do different things in regards to, and then keep it about selling the kid a dream. You know what I mean? I'm gonna sell you the work. I'm gonna sell you how to get better, and what's meant to pan out will pan out.
I'll never forget, it's sports related, but it's about my son. Denali played soccer first before he ever touched the basketball. They were like 7, 8, or 9. And they played for just the local park, Kate Jackson, right there in Hyde Park. Had a loaded team. Usually at that age, the girl was the best player on their team.
That happens a lot.
I think her name was
Anna.
I think her name was Anna, and she was like the best player.
Yeah.
Like we would roll up to the game, and people would be like, "They got that Anna."
That's why I love the word woman.
This one day, Anna had like a model, she had some type of shoot to go do. So we played at Henry and Ola around the playoffs. We're literally on the phone with Anna and people. What age are they all at? They were like, the game's about to start. We start. I'm on the phone. It gets tight. It's like a minute and something left. I'm on the phone, but I'm looking at Denali. He scores the winning goal with like 7 seconds left. Turns and sprints and was like, Dad! And had his hands like this. I just heard people saying stuff about they blacked out. They thought it was like slow motion.
Right.
I literally threw my phone out of my hand and ran towards him and we hugged and I got all teary eyed and stuff and I was thinking about that on the way up there. That's probably my best my best memory, you know, with my son, especially sports related ever.
Nice.
And then Anna got there late and then the following week he hit a game tie goal.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When he hit that game winning goal and the first thing he yelled was Dad and ran towards me, well, the Lord could have took me in, but I hadn't seen it all.
I'm straight.
Take me now. I'm good.
I'm straight.
Yeah, I
You know,
never
man, that's good to hear, man. You want to be touched, man. Create you a child or find you some love, and it'll soften up the strongest, the toughest human being. No question about it. Well, another one down. Another legendary podcast. YouTube down. Gracious again for the opportunity for those that are watching. Don't forget to like the video. Like the button. Hit the like button. Leave a comment on the topics. Whatever you want to hear next, we're willing to speak on it. It's nothing that we won't touch on. Subscribe to the channel and remember, 99 ain't good enough.
What's up?
Keep it 100.
100!